In this video, we are going to find the limit of the function at x equal to 0. And the function here is x absolute over x. Before we find the solution of this problem, we will define the absolute function. Absolute x is defined as its answer is x whenever x is positive. It is 0 when x is 0 and it is minus x when x is negative. Now let's get back to this question. We have to find the limit of the function x absolute divided by x. Every question of limit starts by plugging the value of x, in this case 0. So when you plug x 0 in numerator, you get absolute 0 divided by 0. Absolute 0, as here is the definition, is 0. So you get 0 in numerator and in denominator you get 0. Depending upon when you directly plug the value of x in the function, if you get 0 by 0 and your function involves absolute, then you have to split your question into two parts. One part will be the left hand limit and another part would be the right hand limit. So what is the left hand limit? When x is approaching to 0 from the left of 0, then you have to find this limit for the function x absolute over x. X is approaching to 0 from the left of 0, and on the left of 0 the values are less than 0. So when x is less than 0, you can see here in the definition of the absolute function that absolute x is equal to minus x. So what we are going to write here is, in the place of absolute x we will put minus x, and you can see that here we have removed the negative sign because we have used this definition that when x is less than 0, absolute x is minus x divided by the given x. Now we will simplify this. X cancels out with this x. We write limit x is approaching to 0. Here you have minus 1. And remember that limit of a constant function, here minus 1 is constant function, is always the same. No matter where x is approaching to for a constant function, here the constant function is minus 1, it will remain the same. So answer here is minus 1. Left hand limit at 0 for this function is minus 1. Now let's find the right hand limit. Means we find when limit x is approaching to 0 from the right of 0, what would be the limit for the function x absolute over x. Now again see here, when x is approaching to 0 from the right hand of 0, in this case on the right hand of 0 x is positive. Now look at the definition of the absolute function. X absolute here is x if x is positive. So we will put here limit x is approaching to 0 when x is on the right hand side, meaning x is greater than 0, then x absolute is just x by the definition of the absolute function divided by x. Now we will simplify this. X cancels out with this x. We have 1 and limit of a constant function is 1. What we have seen here is limit x approaches to 0 minus, this is the left hand limit of the function. Our answer was -1. And the right hand limit for when x was approaching to 0 from the right hand of 0 for the function x absolute over x, it was +1. So we can see that left hand limit is not same as the right hand limit. Means -1 is not same as 1. So whenever it happens that left hand limit is not same as the right hand limit, you say that limit does not exist. Let's try one more example. Is problem number 2. We have to find the limit of a function 1 over x when x is approaching to 0. Please know that whenever you have to solve the problem of finding the limit of a function at some x, it always starts by plugging the value of x. X is approaching to 0, so here I will plug the value of x in this function as 0. 1 over 0, which is infinity. Know that whenever you have infinity, by directly plugging in the value of x, you have to split your question into 2 parts, and then you have to find the left hand limit and you have to find the right hand limit. When you directly plug in the x value in the function and you get infinity or you get minus infinity. In both of these cases, you are going to split your function into 2 parts and you are finding the left hand limit and the right hand limit. In this case, the left hand limit and the right hand limit are all about finding the right signs of infinity. Means either it is plus infinity or it is minus infinity. So what we shall do for the left hand limit is limit x is approaching to 0. Since it's the left hand limit, so x is approaching to 0. On the left of 0, we will put a minus sign here, 1 over x. And for the right hand limit, we will put limit x is approaching to 0 plus, because x is approaching to 0 from the right hand side of 0 for the function 1 over x. Now, since when we plugged x equal to 0, we got infinity. So both for left hand limit and the right hand limit, we will put the infinity. And now we have to put the right signs on both sides, plus infinity or minus infinity. Please never say that if it's the left hand limit, so answer will be minus infinity, and if it's the right hand limit, the answer would be plus infinity. You always have to choose the right signs. So what we are going to do to choose the right signs of the infinity, this is the part of the rough work. Now for the left hand limit, x is approaching to 0 from the left of 0. So we will put 0 and since x is approaching to 0 from the left of 0, x is on this side. Pick some x on the left of 0. Let's say it is minus 0.01. Remember that it has to be very close to 0. So since x is approaching to 0 and x is on the left of 0, so we are picking x as minus 0.01. And consider the function here, which is 1 over x, and in the place of x put the value of x that you have just considered, which is minus 0.01. Now what is the total sign of this number? Is this positive or negative? We can see that this whole thing is negative, so we will put a minus sign with the infinity. So please know that the limit was at x equal to 0, but here we picked a number x as minus 0.01 just to decide the sign of the infinity. Now let's look at the right hand limit side. We have to put here the right sign of infinity. So we will do some rough work. Here on the right hand limit, since x is approaching to 0 from the right of 0, so we will take some x here on the right of 0, maybe it is 0.01, and the function here we have 1 over x, and here in the place of x we will put the value of x, which is 0.01. Now what is the total sign of this term 1 over 0.01? We can see that whatever this number is, it will be positive. So we will put a positive sign here with the infinity. So we can see here that left hand limit, which was limit x approaching to 0 minus 1 over x, was minus infinity, and the right hand limit was limit x approaching to 0 plus 1 over x was plus infinity. It's not just that left hand limit here is not same as the right hand limit, so we will say that limit does not exist, but also the left hand limit answer is not a definite number. The right hand limit answer is also not a definite number. So in this case we will say that limit does not exist. In the next video, you will see some more examples of how to find the limit of a function at some x.